Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to do a watch party and see if we can knock out 40K. So let me post this a few different places and we will jump in. Okay. All right, we're close to 40K. We're coming up on some key milestones now. All right, we're now above the 21-week EMA. The 21-week EMA is now at 39,436. So we are in fact above it. This will turn green now. See? It's green now. Now, the question is, can it hold it for the remainder of the week? If it can, it's green. Doesn't it? Isn't it nice for it to be green again? So, again, this indicator is basically what it does, it takes the emotions out of it, right? If we're below the 20-week estimate or if we're below both of them, it's red. And if we're above either the 20-week estimate or the 21-week EMA, it flips back to green. And we should remember as well that, the extension from the 20-week diminishes with time when you get to that, the furthest extension it can reach. Okay, so what does that mean for you? Well, it means that at some point, we would expect it to come back up, right? At some point. And when it does get back to that point, that's when the writing's on the wall, right? It's like, well, what are you gonna do the next time, right? Now, the nice thing is that the next time we are back on this trend line up here, the price of Bitcoin would probably be over six figures, or around there, if I had to guess. So just something to keep in mind. Now, if you zoom in, we have flipped back to green. I think the main thing to consider now is, can it hold it, right? Will we hold it for the remainder of the week? Will we have will it basically just clean cut, just go back to being above either of them and then just stay above them, or will it be similar to 2019 where we have a few more weeks of really trying to hammer through some of these harder price milestones, right? So is it going to drag out for a bit, or will we just immediately go back up? And I think that's the main question you have to ask yourself, and carry out your strategy accordingly. We have in fact seen the bounce off the 50-week. So we've seen these things before. Okay, we've seen these things before, the bounce off the 50-week. The key test is coming up. Now, I know a lot of people are excited, and to some degree, you have a reason to be excited, right? I mean, Bitcoin's up $10,000 in a week. That doesn't happen very often. And if Bitcoin's up $10,000 in a week, then it's understandable that people are excited. At the same time, we are still in our little sandbox. We got some nicer toys to play with in the sandbox now that we can afford them, because we're not below 30K Bitcoin. But we're still in the sandbox. Why are we still in the sandbox? Like, why won't Ben shut up about this, this damn sandbox? Well, again, we have this test. This is a crucial test, right? This is the test which will probably define, the market moves for the next several months, right? I mean, if we get up here and either get rejected immediately, or we go above it and then fail to hold it as support, then we're going to be kicking the can down the road a few months. More than likely, we'd be kicking the can down the road a few months. We wouldn't necessarily be kicking the can down the road like 2 years, but we might be kicking the can down the road a few months if we get rejected. Alternatively, if we don't get rejected, then the can's not getting kicked, right? If we don't get rejected, the can's not getting kicked. And then we actually have to go up. And then I know this it seems counterintuitive, but if we do go up, I will want us to come down quickly. and test it, because that is what would give the bulls, I think, the confidence to actually go to six figures. If we can go up and then come back down and test it as support. If we don't go back down and test it as support, then I would be a lot more skeptical. So remember, those are the things I'm looking for, right? We want to get above it. And we sort of saw this play out slowly, right? If we go over to the daily RSI a few days ago, this was a metric we had been covering for like 6 months. And we finally broke through it. How many of you guys have heard me talk about this one forever? We finally broke through it, and damn, did we not break through it? We just shot up, right? We shot up. Let me change this to a different color. So we held resistance on the daily RSI downtrend starting in January, and then we tested it again in February. We tested more or less in March, again in April. In June, the one in May was pretty pathetic. We tested it in July, in early July, and in the middle of July, and then we came back up to it in late July. So you're essentially looking at, 6 months or so, almost 7 months of Bitcoin testing this downtrend on the daily RSI. And we finally broke it, right? We finally broke it. And this move has been one hell of a move after we finally broke this downtrend. So at least this metric, I don't always think that the relative strength index is the most useful thing, because it can stay relatively oversold or overbought for really long periods of time when you're at, like, say, the peak of a bull market or the pits of a bear market. So then people start to really not trust it that much. But I think it was at least worthwhile tracking the daily RSI downtrend, just because of how frequently we kept coming back up to it. And now we broke through it, and we, to some degree, we're off to the races. But again, the real test has not happened yet. The real test is coming up, and it's coming up quickly. Okay, it's coming up quickly. We're in fact above the 21-week EMA right now. We're already above it. The question is can we stay above it? And we're only shy of the 20-week SMA by about $5,000. You're talking about a 12% move. Right? People don't even get out of bed for 12% moves by Bitcoin. And a 12% move would actually get us back to the 20-week SMA. So that is where the bulls have to come out, okay? This is where the bulls need to fight. We got to get above here. That's where we need to get above. And it's coming up relatively quickly. There's a lot of momentum right now. It wouldn't really take too much longer at this rate for us to get there. If we're just sort of eyeballing this and saying, well, how long is it going to take us? We need to get to around, let's just say 45K or so. We only need to go up to maybe like this level here, which again is about 12% or so. At this rate, we would be there really quickly. You're talking about we could be there within a couple days. Within a couple days, if the valuation of Bitcoin continues to increase this quickly. So you might say, well, is that the only milestone that could cause some issues? Well, no. There are some other ones, like the 100-day is coming up. That's at 40.8K, which also happens to correspond fairly closely with the local top over here, and then this local top here. So we're actually coming up to that one. That might be one to look out for, right? That might be one to look out for as well at 40.8K, because it is, it's only about $1,000 from where we currently are, about $1,100 from the current prices. So keep an eye out on the 100-day SMA. The 200-day is much further off. And actually the 200-day corresponds fairly closely with the 20-week SMA. They're both around, 44.5, 44.6K. So neither of them are really that far away. That's the next milestone, right? So first, the 100-day. The 100-day is coming in hot at just shy of $41,000. After that, you have the bull market support band, which we're already in part of it, right? We're already above the 21-week EMA. You guys know I prefer the 20-week SMA. But you could use both, and there's obviously merits to using both. Sometimes one works a little bit better than others. But again, they're coming up really quickly, and that is where we actually need to see what Bitcoin does. Okay, that's where we need to see what Bitcoin does. Can it get above it, come back down, hold it as support, and continue the journey? Right now we're at 39,750, so we're only a couple $100 away or so from 40K. We will see if in fact we make it there. Let's do an update here on our. Well, we will go to the minute chart and see how close we are. So we're moving up relatively quickly here. So let's draw the line in the sand. Here's the line in the sand at 40K. So if we keep increasing at this rate, it's not like it would take that long to get there. Even if we, even giving ourselves a little wiggle room in terms of some of these pullbacks that we've seen over the last, couple of hours or so, and we could be there within an hour. That's basically sort of a conservative estimate on this trend right now. So maybe even sooner, right? Maybe even sooner. Right now we're at 39,774. We'll see if we can, in fact. You guys are yelling for the house. All right, we'll draw a house. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done these, so I might be a little rusty. Let's see. Where do we want to draw the house? This always takes a lot of effort. We can draw it maybe right here. I'm going to draw it up to 40.5. That's our chimney up to the 100-day moving average. Okay. That's our little chimney up to the 100-day SMA. And then, of course, we have to have our garage. And our garage is going to have a pretty crappy car in it because we're all broke from buying the dip. So maybe we don't even have a car. Maybe we just have a bicycle. We have a bicycle in our garage because we're buying the dip forever. And it's a pretty crappy bicycle too. I don't even know how you draw these. All right, we'll see if we make it to 40K. The real test is coming up quick, fast, and in a hurry. The bull market support band, we've covered it, the last couple, during our summer lull, right? We said, hey guys, prepare for a summer lull at the very least, right? We're not out of the woods yet, but prepare for the summer lull at the very least. We're now coming out at the end of July. We are coming back up to our bull market support band. We will see if in fact we break through it. We have a ways to go still. Bitcoin needs to get up to around 44K. 44.5K would be above the 20-week estimate. So let's see if we can get above that. We'll leave our house over here and see if we're able to enter our house. We're now coming in hot at a very modest $39,858. So we are moving up relatively quickly still. We are still in no man's land with regards to our logarithmic regression bands. So we are still in no man's land. We're not, either we're not in the bottom part of it, we're also not in the top part of it. So we're still in no man's land. If you want an update on the, sorry, we got the admins already taking care of it. If you want an update on to where the upper part of it is, to get back into the regression band, Bitcoin needs to go to a very modest and a humble $68,482 for the lower bound. Nice, fortunately, the upper bound is over 100K now. Over here, I was somewhat skeptical as to us going to six figures. Now, at least our regression band allows for it. I don't know that it's going to happen immediately. I doubt that, but it at least allows for a six-figure Bitcoin now, which is nice. And so we'll continue to look to see. So remember, when we left the regression band, the last time we left it, it was the lower bound of it was at just under 62K. Now to get back into the regression band, we have to go back to over 68K. So a ways to go just to get back into our regression band. It seems like our little corridor has held up relatively well. So maybe we'll pay attention a little bit more in the future to this one. It did a fairly decent job, I guess, of highlighting some of these, some of these lows over here. Maybe we'll see. I mean, basically, we'll see where it ends up being up at the top. I mean, right now the top corresponds, according to this, corresponds to $110,872. But again, that's going to change with time as well. Obviously, it gets updated every single day. All right, guys, we're not out of the woods yet. We gotta get through the 20 week and then come back down and hold it as support. That's the test. That is the test. If you live through, if you only entered crypto over here, you probably missed out on all the fun we had back over here when we crossed it and then held it as support. You would have also missed out on some of the fun where we went above it and didn't hold it as support. So remember, there's no until we hold it as support, one day at a time, right? One day at a time. We got to hold it as support for a little bit. Until then, I would say one day at a time. We got to get above it first. So right now we're coming in at $39,823. By the way, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you've been with us for our summer lull over the last couple, 2.5 months or so, and you stuck it out, hopefully you'll be rewarded. Obviously, we still have a little ways to go. Okay, Bitcoin is now at 39,000. Well, I guess it's varying depending on the exchange, obviously. 39.8K, more or less. This one's coming in a little bit higher on Bitstamp. This is just the index. Still a little ways to go. It does seem like our analysis here on testing. We put out a couple videos essentially saying, are we going to test the 2017 all-time high? And again, if you account for the money supply, we already were testing it, right? If you account for the money supply, we actually tested the 2017 all-time high. More than once, actually. We tested it a couple times. So I think that's interesting. I mean, maybe this is something we should keep looking at in the future. Like where is our valuation with respect to the money supply? Should the logarithmic regression bands account for the money supply? Stuff like that might be things that we should be considering, especially if we start moving up again and heading towards a new major milestone. All right, we just went above 39, or we just went about to 39.9. Right now we're at 39,883. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. Give the video a thumbs up. We also do have a Telegram channel. I will post the Telegram channel for you guys in the comments. You can also find a link to it in the description below. So check out our Telegram channel. Remember, I will not message you first, so ignore people pretending to be me. Yes, the dollar is going down a little bit today, which, I think some people assume that if the dollar is going down on any specific day, then Bitcoin has to go up. That's not necessarily true. But what I would say is true is if the dollar continues to trend down, then it's more likely that Bitcoin will continue to trend up. Right now we're at 39,000. We're still 39.9K. We're getting close to our garage. We're getting close to our garage. We're still not quite there yet. We got to get to 40K for us to get there. Someone says, what's a beautiful U-shaped recovery? Yeah, I mean, if a U-shaped recovery would make a little bit more sense to me than a V-shaped recovery, right? I was always skeptical about a V-shaped recovery. Something like this makes a little bit more sense. Mainly the reason it makes sense is because what it allowed for, right? What did it allow for? Well, at the very least, it is allowed for us to get under the ROI of the last cycle, right? That's what it is allowed for. Because it lasted more than just if it had been a V-shaped recovery, we would have been right back with the last cycle's ROI. Now that we're below it, we're now at 39,939. Now that we're below the last cycle's ROI, I'm a little bit more comfortable with where Bitcoin is in the cycle. Honestly, I'm a little bit more comfortable. As you guys know, back over here, I was very uncomfortable with the price action considering how far ahead we were from the prior cycle. Now that we've fallen below it, I think things make a lot more sense. I would say I would be even more comfortable, if we don't immediately go back up. But, obviously, Bitcoin does not always conform to our comfort levels. But anyways, I'm certainly happier now with okay, we're at 40K. We're at 40K here. All right, we're at 40,021 on Bitstamp. It hasn't really broken on all the exchanges, obviously, because if it had, it would have broken on here on our index. Looks like we tapped our garage for a minute. We're now back down to 39,800 or so. Yeah, the dollar is moving down today by about minus 0.3%. The dominance is looking incredibly strong for Bitcoin. The game goes on, right? The game goes on. We'll see if we can get back above our bull market support band. If we pull up our regression rainbow, let's see where we are on our regression rainbow. The top, so remember, the nice thing about the regression rainbow is that it assumes that essentially the fair value of Bitcoin is always going up. Therefore, for us to reach the same level that we reached back in April, we would actually now need to go to $76,000, right? So a $76,000 Bitcoin to put us over here. The one thing that I think people need to be aware of, okay? And I've said this before, we did a video on it saying, are we gonna get a bounce off the 50-week SMA? Are we gonna get a bounce off the 50-week SMA, right? We said, are we going to get a bounce off the 50-week? We're getting a bounce off the 50-week. Now that, oh, there's a squirrel. I sound like a dog, like, oh, squirrel. There's so much wildlife that's like in my backyard now. I moved from the Southwest, so it's a lot greener here. So now the question becomes, right? Do we break it? Okay? Do we break it? We failed to break it here. We failed to break it here. We failed to break it here. Sorry, that's not off the 50-week. We failed. Okay, let me just get them off the 50-week. We failed to break it here. This bounce off the 50-week, we broke it. Okay, this one right here. We actually broke the 20-week. And we actually went up significantly above it because the 20-week at the time was at like 8,200 and we went all the way up to 10,000. So we broke it here. Okay, there's a little bit of probabilities going on. Okay, obviously, like always. But just because you get a bounce doesn't mean you're going to put a new all-time high. So what do we need to see? We need to say, well, guys, look, we've seen bounces before off the 50-week. That's why I'm telling you we're still playing in the sandbox until we get above the 20-week and hold it as support. So once that's the case, we say check. Then I think 100K is more welcome. Until then, I want us to look at the chart and say, well, things look good, right? We had our summer lull. We're getting a nice bounce off the 50-week. I don't expect 64K to be the market cycle top. Can we get above it? That's our big test, and it's coming up relatively quickly at this point. We're only about $5,000 shy of the 20-week SMA, so it's coming up very, very quickly. How do you know we held it as support? Well, we'd have to hold it as support for a number of weeks. But back in September and October, we held it as support for several weeks. Back at the last cycle, we held it as support for several months. There's not like a one-size-fits-all solution. What I will say this, though, if Bitcoin goes above the 20-week and then comes back down and tests it as support, every week that goes by that we hold it, you should probably get more bullish. Okay, so there's a lot of boxes you have to check, right? So the first box, go above the 20-week. The second thing, come back down. You say, why come back down? Like, I don't want to go. No, come back down, hold it as support for a month or so at least, and then we hopefully see it fly. Until then, we're still in our sandbox. Unfortunately, we are still in our sandbox. I know you guys are getting fairly used to the sandbox at this point because we've been playing in it for so long, but we still need to conquer that. And there's all these there's all these moving averages that we talk about, but that's the big one, right? That's the big one that we care about. Can it get above the 20-week? We like being above the 20-week, right? When Bitcoin's above the 20-week and it's holding it as support, good things happen with crypto. When it's below the 20-week, no one's getting out of bed, right? No one's getting out of bed until it's back above the 20-week, and even then they're not getting out of bed. We'll see. We'll see. Keep an eye out on the 20-week. Yeah, my desk is still a cardboard box, unfortunately. Um, I have to put my microphone on a little dresser over here, otherwise it shakes too much and the sound is awful. Elif says, I 100% support the idea of diminishing returns. He even agrees on lengthening cycles. However, you neglecting that there is a diminishing return on cycling. We've talked about that before. Now, we've had a couple videos where we show that but if you measure it certain ways, it certainly does seem like it could be diminishing on length. I mean, that's why, if you go back and watch the Bitcoin Beauty of Mathematics video, the last one we put out, maybe the beginning of July, and we speculated that you could have a cycle that maybe ends in the summer of 2022, right? Maybe as early as the summer of 2022 or something, assuming the cycle lengthens. So it's still possible that it peaks, like it lengthens, but it doesn't lengthen to an extent of being 2 years, right? It could come sooner than that. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. You're essentially, I'll show people what he's talking about so that you're not just taking my word for it. So he's basically talking about this, right? So let's put it on the board so everyone can see it. So if we measure these the way we've measured them before, you have the first one, right? And this one is about a 245-day cycle from bottom to top. And we'll measure them several different ways. I know some of you guys are going to get up in arms if we don't measure it the way you like to measure it, so we'll measure them all different ways. This one was around 742 days, right? And then this one was around 1,078 days. So, the difference between here to here was less than 500 days, right? It was less than 500 days. The difference between here to here was less than, say, it was over 300 days. So this one was almost 500. Let's just call it 500. Maybe a little bit less, but around 500. This one was, let's see, 742 to 1,078. So you're talking about what, 300 something? Let's just do the math. 336. Is that right? Hopefully that's right. If it's not, my excuse is I have 4,000 people watching me. So 500 or so, maybe a little bit less than 500 by 3 days. Maybe that's like 497 or something. Let's see. So 245, 745, yeah. So 497. So he's saying, what he's saying is, okay, this one was 497 days between here to here. At least in terms of extending the cycle. This one was an extra 336 days. So what he's saying is, well, why can't this one maybe be an extra 200 something days? Why does it have to? We talked about that some in the last Beauty of Mathematics video. So if you take it from the bottom and go to say 1,078 days, if you assume it's the same length as the last cycle, which I know some people want to assume, and you could be right? You could be right. It would put the peak in early November, as measured from the cycle bottom. Okay, as measured from the cycle bottom, it would put the peak in early November. If you extend it out by, let's say, a couple hundred days, let's say out to 1278, you'd be looking at a cycle peak in May of 2022. So that's what he's referring to when he says, cycle length is diminishing, or the rate at which they're lengthening is diminishing, right? So this was an extra 497, this was an extra 336. That's his argument. So maybe if you say this one's an extra 200, then it could actually come, maybe the end of the second quarter would be in line with that line of thinking. Anyways, hopefully that answers your question. That is, that could obviously happen. That is a valid point. That's certainly one way to measure it. We've also measured these, if you want to measure it from, say, like bottom. You also, another thing too is you could argue that this is not really the cycle bottom because this is a scam wick that went all the way to zero. You can maybe take it a few more days out, which makes it a little less than that. Now it's closer to maybe 440 days or so rather than like 490. You could also measure this from, say, like, bottom to bottom. This is 462 days. This next one is 1,155 days, and then the next one would be 1442. So yeah, similar types of the peak as well, right? The peak as well. This one was 896. and this one was 1477. But that's all we have to go off of. So, completely different, right? Completely different. So about 900 to about 1500. So it was about 600 days difference. If you want to go with the idea of that same line of thinking, and say, the next one to say like 1700. I mean, I'd still put it in 2022. Hopefully that answers your question. Whoever answered that is a good question. What other questions do we have? Someone says ADA is a stable coin. I've told you guys that ADA, it stands for $1 always, right? ADA, $1 always. I say that kidding, of course. You guys know I like ADA, and I expect it to move up. I expect it to eventually put in new all-time highs. I just think we got to give it time, right? You can't rush these things. You got to give it time. Someone's asking for a squirrel update. I don't see the squirrel out there anymore. Can I look at link? Link. Link Bitcoin. I mean, if we're being honest, it's not pretty, right? I mean, we like to be honest. It's not pretty. I know you guys are talking about Link USD, but I don't really care. We're going to talk about Link Bitcoin first, anyways. So yeah, I mean, like right now, Link Bitcoin is not looking so good. Now, what would be a good environment for Link? Well, remember, all the major moves by Link USD, all of them, like literally every single major peak of Link USD. So, January of 2018, July of 2019, August of 2020, May of 2021. What did all four of these have in common? Okay, so what did all four of these peaks have in common? I'm sure you guys know the answer. What do they have in common? Now, I do care about Link USD. I just wanted to show Link Bitcoin first, so we're not cherry picking our reference point. No, they're not Bitcoin bottoms. Yeah, Bitcoin was above the 20-week. All right, so look at this. So January of 2018, where was Bitcoin? In January of 2018, Bitcoin was above the 20-week SMA, right? It was above the 20-week SMA. That's when Link went on this crazy run. The next one, July of 2019. Where was Bitcoin? It was above the 20-week SMA. What about August of 2020? Do you care to guess where Bitcoin was in August of 2020? It was above the 20-week SMA. What about the last one? In early May. Where was Bitcoin in early May? I keep clicking on the house. In early May. Again, it was above the 20-week SMA. So the four peaks of Link USD have one thing in common, and that commonality is Bitcoin was above the 20-week simple moving average all four times. So if you ask me, well, when is Bitcoin, or when is Link going to go and put in a new all-time high? Well, first of all, it's probably not putting in a new all-time high until Bitcoin's above the 20-week SMA. Now, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to go to 100K, right? It doesn't mean that. Go look at Bitcoin. Look at this move. Link had a crazy run here back in August of 2020. What was Bitcoin doing in August of 2020? Well, I mean, it was above the 20-week SMA, but who really cared? I mean, it was at $12,000. It had not done anything significant. So Bitcoin doesn't have to go to new all-time highs for Link to go crazy. It doesn't. If history is any indication, what it has to do, if history is any indication, is that it needs to be above the 20-week SMA. So if we're not above it, I wouldn't expect new all-time highs. Now, that doesn't mean Link can't trend up. but I just wouldn't expect immediate new all-time highs until Bitcoin is above the 20-week. Bitcoin's above the 20-week. Let's send. I mean, yeah, hopefully Link goes to $100. I would love it if Link went to $100. But we need, what do we need first? We need Bitcoin to be above the 20-week SMA. We don't necessarily need Bitcoin to be putting in new all-time highs. What we need really is we need Bitcoin above the 20-week, and we need diminished Bitcoin volatility. Because over here, when Link went crazy, Bitcoin was sort of just trending sideways for a month. Remember, if Bitcoin's just going up like this, it's hard for Link to perform. But if Bitcoin's above the 20-week and going sideways, whether it's down here or up here, that is where Link shines. And we have not been in that situation very, very much recently, right? We've been below the 20-week estimate for the last 2.5 months. So that's where we currently are. That's where we currently are on Link. Link Bitcoin, it's got a lot to prove, okay? The first thing you might want to look at for Link Bitcoin is its own bull market support band, all right? So we got to get back up to that first. Forget our Link Bitcoin exponential fits, because, I mean, we have a long way to go to get back to that, a long way. As you can see, we've fallen off course substantially with regards to our exponential fit here. So in order to get back up to the exponential fit, which I don't know if we'll ever do, but if we do, we need to go up at least 183% today for us to get there. I mean, we don't have to go up 183% today, but in order for us to get there today, we'd have to go up 183%. To get back to the middle up here, we'd be looking at a 300% move against Bitcoin. I mean, that'd be one hell of a move, that's for sure. I'm still very bullish on Link. You know, I still have a ton of Link. I want to see it do well, but we got to see Bitcoin. We got to see Bitcoin above the 20-week before putting in new all-time highs. All right, what other questions? Do I think Bitcoin will have a retest? It could, and that's why I think people need to be careful. I think there's a lot of people celebrating already, and I know I want us to all celebrate together. I want us to draw houses for another year straight, right? Like if we could just draw houses every single weekend for another year, I'll just tell my wife again I've become a carpenter and I'm building houses again. I would love no more than to do that. What I'm telling you guys now is that you don't. If you've been around the market long enough, you'll know that these can act as areas of rejection. That is the test. So let's get above that first before you get Forbes on the line. Once we get above that, maybe we'll think about Forbes. But until then, and even then, we'll probably say, yeah, why don't we give it a little ways because we still need to put in new all-time highs. But I certainly would not call Forbes until we're at least above that and holding it as support. All right. Someone says, wait, you're a carpenter. He doesn't know I'm a carpenter. Yeah, I build houses. How have you not seen me build houses? We build houses all the time. We actually just put a house up recently. Right here. We just put a new house up. The housing market is pretty inflated right now, though. So it's hard to, that's why we haven't been drawing houses as much recently, is because the cost is sky high, given how crazy the real estate market is. But sometimes you gotta bite the bullet. Someone says, you have a wife, why do you still sleep on a floor mattress? I've helped her understand the opportunity cost of selling your sats too soon. Yeah, I think I think it'll be a bicycle for a 40K house and a 50K house. And if we get up to 60K, we're still looking at, maybe we'll put in a motorcycle or a fairly cheap sedan. I don't think we're going to get up to the nice stuff until we're putting in new all-time highs. Why don't I trade Bitcoin with all your TA powers? I'm not really sure what that means. Like, I do buy and sell Bitcoin. I don't day trade it, and I also don't have TA powers. Someone says, was I dreaming, or did you mention that you study nuclear physics? Yeah, I have a PhD in nuclear engineering. It's a fun fact. All right, we're back above 40. Entered our garage. We have, in fact, entered our garage. See, a lot of planning has to go into where we place these things. But you can see we are now in our garage. We're now at 40.2. 40.3. The 100-day, I believe the 100-day estimate is about $500 away. So we're at 40.3. Yeah, Julian says everyone's excited about 40K. It is funny, right? If we actually we had a 40K watch party. Remember? Do you guys remember the watch party we had over here? But it was on the way down. We had a 40K watch party. It just wasn't the watch party that people are normally excited about. But we did have a 40K watch party on the way down. Now we're having a 40K watch party on the way up. It definitely is a bit more exciting. William says it's his birthday. Well, happy birthday. Am I optimistic about Bitcoin hitting an all-time high this year? It could happen. I mean, I think it certainly could happen. I think that the optimism on it hitting a new all-time high should come after we've tested the 20-week as support. If we test it as support and hold it, then yeah, like we'll probably will. If we don't, then like if we go up to 45K or 46K and then just get rejected and come back down, then it would certainly, then beg the question, well, what is the, how optimistic are you? I think we need to see that happen. Where are the wife and kids? Well, my kids are upstairs. 2 of them are sleeping. And then my wife is at work. Did I buy the dip? Of course. I mean, we said many times, right? When the market's bearish, that's when you buy. When the market's bullish, that's when you take profits. I'm not calling the market bullish now because I think we still need to get back above the 20-week. But I'm just saying, when the market's bearish, by rule, that's when you DCA, right? When the market's bearish, that's when you DCA. That's right, bear market. Bull markets make you money, bear markets make you rich. It's hard, right? I mean, it's certainly hard for newcomers to stick around during bearish phases. And if we do go back, down, it can be even harder for these people to stick around. If whether we go up now, right? Whether we go up now and go put in new all-time highs immediately, or we do it, we do it in a month or 2 months or 3 months, is somewhat irrelevant. Like whatever happens, right? Whatever happens, just stick around. That's the key to crypto. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Things will get, it's not a matter of will Bitcoin have corrections, right? We know it will have corrections. We know it'll have 50% corrections, 60% corrections, etc. It's not a matter of if it will, it's just a matter of when. Just don't let those scare you off. The dominance, by the way, is going crazy, right? It's going crazy. which makes a lot of sense. Remember, Bitcoin's likely to put in a new all-time high before most other cryptos. So if Bitcoin's not putting in new all-time highs, I don't think other cryptos are going to. Like, so until that happens, I wouldn't think other cryptos are going to do that. Looks like we came back down and bounced off of our well-placed bicycle. So right now we're at 40.2. So let's go take a look again. Let's go look at the daily time frame. And we'll pull up the 100-day because we're getting close to it. By the way, remember, if you guys like the content, definitely subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 500,000 subscribers. Definitely, let's get to 500,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up. Remember, we don't have AdSense turned on here. No ads, no paid promotions, no bullshit affiliate links, right? My words are not paid for. So none of that garbage here. Just make sure you subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. All right, we're coming up on the 100-day at 40.8. Right, we're at 40.8 is the 100-day, so we're coming up close to it. Let's see if we can surpass it or not. Someone says the garage is missing a Lambo. Unfortunately, we're not going to be putting a Lambo in a $40,000 Bitcoin garage. A Lambo might go in a $100,000 Bitcoin garage, but our $100,000 Bitcoin garage is a ways off. And I think whether you think Bitcoin's going to go to 100K, or if you think Bitcoin's going to go to 100K this cycle, which I think it will, I think we can all agree it's not going to happen this week. So we still have a ways to go before we can get to 100K. What model car do I drive? I have an 07 Chevrolet Impala. That's what I have. It's like 15 years old. Is there anything I do get out of bed for? I feel like I might get out of bed if Bitcoin goes to 100K. That would probably be worth getting out of bed for. Am I still doing research in nuclear physics? No, I stopped in January. Thanks for subbing, Ali. Someone says you have a PhD. Why YouTube? Why not? What is my net worth? So it's one of those questions that, it's like, why do people care? And furthermore, I think it's ridiculous when people rub into other people, like, what they, like, all their wealth and stuff. Like, I think it's really, I don't know. Like, if someone's constantly bragging about their wealth, it just makes me think that they're insecure about things and they need validation from people. So I think it's pretty messed up, honestly. But when people brag about that, especially if people who have been in crypto a while, like, brag to new people, it's like, no, like, even if you're new, like, just use whatever move comes to get ahead, right? So if we're going to go into another leg of the cycle, whether it happens now or whatever, use it to get ahead in life, take profits on the way up, and then, just DCA back in when things go bearish. You just keep rinsing and repeating the same damn thing over and over and over and over. And, then eventually you'll be the one that was the person that got in early, and people will be looking to you for advice. And then, just tell them the same thing I'm telling you, right? Tell them, hey, crypto's risky. You're probably going to see things go down at some point by, 50% or more, maybe 70% or more, and just tell them, start off with Bitcoin, then go to Ethereum, and then explore some altcoins, and be prepared for the downside risk. But just know that if you stay in it long enough, it will change your life. At least if history is any indication, and I use history here to indicate things. So if history is any indication, then crypto should change your life. It's just a matter of, do you stay in it long enough? And as long as you're not losing all your money leverage trading, which is what you should not be doing, and as long as you're not day trading, then you should be doing quite well. Just DCA, right? Don't stray, just DCA. All right, we're at 40.2. We have a little bit of ways to go to get to the 100-day SMA at 48.26. Were you employed as a physicist? I was. I just was at NASA. I did work at NASA, but that was like 10 years ago. So the other place I worked recently was a lab. What inspired my first investment into crypto? Well, I took a college class back in 2011. I didn't buy Bitcoin in 2011, unfortunately, but I took a college class back then in cryptography, and that's when I learned about Bitcoin. But I unfortunately did not buy Bitcoin in 2011. I wish that I had. But I think learning about cryptography and then relating it to, currency and whatnot is what got me interested. And then, more than that, after I thought it was a cool idea, and then after seeing what the price and stuff, that's what really got me to buy, was because I was like, all right, these things are really speculative, and hopefully it'll trend up with time. Someone asked, why are alt Bitcoin valuations so low? It's because Bitcoin's moving incredibly quickly. This is actually something we cover on the premium list quite extensively. We've been talking about exactly the expectation of a Bitcoin move would cause alt Bitcoin valuations to bleed. So again, if you're interested in the premium list, you can check that out. We have a sale on it. You can find that in the description below if you want to lock in the low rate. I will post a link to it in the comments. You get access to weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the Into the Cryptoverse app, and more. So check that out. Am I shorting Bitcoin? No. As a rule, I don't short Bitcoin. I don't short Bitcoin. Do I truly believe cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ADA will be game-changing for the world, or just dubious speculation for money making? I think there's a lot of dubious speculation going on. I think my opinion on it is like they could change the world, and if they do, that's great. But I'd rather just make money on it, and if it changes the world, oh, that's cool too. That's sort of where I stand with crypto. All right, Bitcoin's at 40.5. We have now exited the garage. We're coming up on the 100. This is look at this move by Bit. This is 14% on the day. We've moved up $5,000 in the last 18 hours or something. I said it yesterday during the live stream, momentum is hard. Momentum is a hell of a drug for Bitcoin. So, at this point, maybe we get rejected off the 100-day. I would kind of be surprised. Like I said yesterday in the live stream, I don't really know what's going to happen in the next hour or day or something, but I would be shocked. Maybe I'll be shocked, right? I would be shocked if we don't rally to the 20-week. Like I feel like there's a decent probability that we get close to it, at the very least. Okay, so I mean momentum is strong right now, so we'll see if we make it there. My guess is we will make it to the 20-week at least, but we'll have to see. We could get rejected on the way up, and not just go straight there. Namely, maybe look at the 100-day, which we are already quickly approaching. No, I don't think we'll ever go to 10K. I mean, even if this is a bull trap, which I don't even know that it is. I mean, this might just be the breakout, for all we know. I think what we need to do is we need to wait. We need to see if we get above the 20-week and if we hold it as support. Even if we get rejected, I don't think Bitcoin will ever go back to $10,000. Like I know I've seen a lot of people predict like a $5,000 to $10,000 Bitcoin. I don't see that happening. I think that's a bit too low, even if we get rejected. So I would say no. I don't think that's going to happen. We certainly could go back down from here, but I don't think we're going to go. I don't think we'd ever go back to 10K. All right, we're still out of our garage. How long do you think Bitcoin can maintain diminishing returns? Eventually, diminishing returns would lead to an ROI of 0. Well, I mean, diminishing returns are still returns. I mean, eventually it'll probably just go into some other type of pattern or move. I mean, like I don't think it's going to just play out like this every certain amount of years forever. Do I watch sports? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. What's the 20-week SMA at? It's at like 44K, right? 44.5. 44,539 is where the 20-week is. How's my postdoc going? I already did a postdoc. I did a 2-year postdoc. I'm not doing a postdoc anymore. Do I think Ethereum can reach a $1 trillion market cap? I do. I think it can reach I think it's the only one that can reach it. Well, I don't know if I should say that. I think it's if I had to pick one crypto besides Bitcoin to reach 1 trillion, I would say Ethereum. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming, this was obviously assuming that probably Bitcoin's at like a market cap between 2 to 4 trillion. But I do think Ethereum can make it to a 1 trillion market cap this cycle. Not this year. I don't think it'll happen this year. But I do think it'll make it to a $1 trillion market cap this cycle. As far as other cryptos, I'd be very skeptical. I mean, I think I think that a lot of them will go to several hundred billion, but I don't know that they'll make it to 1 trillion. All right, what other questions? All right, we're still at 40.3. We're still kind of messing around in the garage right now. Someone says Ada's going to pull a hamstring at this rate. Yeah, it probably will. Do I think Chainlink has legs this cycle? Yeah, I mean, I've never stopped believing that Chainlink would go up. Like, I mean, I think it still will. It's had a pretty bad year, right? The last year for Link has not been good. But to its credit, it's 2 years before the last year were great. So Link has not performed well this year. I'm hoping for a better year the next year. I'm hoping this, from here until next July, I hope it has a much better time. I tweeted about DOT. Any videos? Yeah, we'll probably do a video on Polkadot soon. I'm actually going to try to launch the first ITC stake pool for Polkadot relatively soon. Do I earn passive income? Of course. I think everyone should be staking and earning interest, whether you want to do it on a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange. We do have the ITC stake pools if you want to go earn interest with your ADA or Avalanche tokens. But even if you don't want to stake with me, that's fine. I'll just go stake with someone else. Just make sure you're earning interest somewhere, right? Make sure you're earning interest somewhere. And if you're doing that, you're probably doing your future self a favor. If you're just sitting around letting your crypto collect dust, not earning interest, then you're really not doing yourself any favors. Yeah, I'm sure the RSI is just going through the roof right now. Let's go look at it on the 1 day. Let's go look at it on the 1 day first and see where we are. Yeah, so we just on the daily we just reached the oversold territory. Oversold starts at 70. We just reached it. The last time we were at this level was at 58K. The last time we were this oversold was at 50, or sorry, not oversold, overbought. The last time we were this overbought was at 58K. Just because it's moved up so quickly. But on the 4 hour, damn, we're at an RSI now on the 4 hour at 88. 88. The last time we were that high was back in mid-December. When was the last time the RSI on Bitcoin was this high? On the 4 hour time frame. On the 2 hour time frame, the last time it was this high was early January. Do I think a stock market crash is about to happen? I put out fairly infrequent videos on the stock market. You should go watch them. I basically just keep saying everyone always calls for a crash in the stock market and almost everyone's always wrong. And then eventually the stock market actually crashes and then people take credit for it and then they just go back to calling for a stock market crash for the next 5 years. So in my experience, the best way to navigate the stock market, in my own experience, and my experience probably differs from other people, so it's coming from a somewhat biased point of view. My experience with the stock market is the people who are perma bulls are way more right than the perma bears with the stock market. And if you just keep assuming it'll trend up with time, you're doing a lot better off than the people constantly screaming it's going to crash. That's not a dig at anyone. I mean, I don't. No, it's basically just saying that people who try to time the top of the stock market are often wrong. That's not to say there aren't some people out there that can time it. I'm just saying that 99% of people cannot time it. Maybe there are some people that can, but I'm not one of them. So I think that most people would be better off not trying to time the top of the stock market. Yeah, Paul says, yeah, the famous quote, right? Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Yeah, what are we at right now on the day? Let's go see. We're now at 13%. When's the last time we had a 13% day? That's 10%, 8%, 7%. This is 7. This was 9 or 10. Here was one, February 8th. We went from 38K to 46K, 46.4K, which is actually the 20 week. So we went up 19.5% on February 8th. Today we've gone up 13.3% so far, but we still have about 4.5 hours to go. All right, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's go for 500,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up. Yeah, I know February 8th was Tesla. I remember because it shot us over 42K. All right, yeah, definitely subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Remember, we do have a Telegram channel if you guys want to join it. Over 44,000 people. If you want to go keep talking in there, you can do so. Remember, I will not message you first, so if you get a message from someone pretending to be me, just recognize that it is not me. Yeah, you can go check out the Telegram channel. We actually have we have several Telegram channels. We also have another Telegram channel for equities. I'll post that one if you guys want to go talk about equities. We sometimes talk about equities in there, so go talk about equities and into the equityverse. Well, should we wrap it up here? Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We also have the premium list if you want to know how I'm navigating the markets. We have the sale going on. Check out that if you want to lock in the low rate. Why don't we wrap it up? Make sure you guys subscribe. We've been going over an hour, so we're at 40K. We managed to hit 40K, so that was what the watch party was for. Now we're just sort of, just talking for the sake of talking. So we're at 40K. Why don't we wrap it up there? Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see if we can get to the 20 week and then hold it. Until then, we continue to play in our little sandbox. I will see you guys next time. Bye.